Welcome to Beyond the Design, the podcast where we step into the minds of the creatives reshaping the way we live and feel in our spaces. I'm your host, Craig Beaumont Flynn. Today's guest is a designer whose work defines formula, embraces imperfection, and dances between fashion and interiors with unapologetic flair. Danielle Balanis brings an editorial eye and a maximalist soul to every space she touches. Let's go behind the design with Danielle Balanis. Well, Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Absolutely. Well, just going to get right into it. So your love of design started early, paging through your mother's architectural magazines and reimagining layouts. Do you remember the first time you realized you saw the world a little differently than most?
You know, I was at such a young age. I don't know that I realized I was different or kind of weird when I love weird. I adore weird. But I think I was just such an optimistic person, and it was something I loved so much that it felt very natural and normal. I loved going into other people's houses. I loved drawing houses. I loved magazines and books of houses. I loved cinema. I remember being so inspired by interiors in movies like Big Business, She-Devil, Mary Fisher's Pink Palace by the Sea, and Beaches. I loved the Tudor set in San Francisco. And I think I would sometimes watch those movies just because I wanted to look inside always.
So you become a designer, or you become a what do you call it? A cat burglar?
But I loved seeing beautiful things or things that I thought were interesting. And so that always sparked me, and I was always such a dreamer. And people did call me creative constantly. It was like someone saying, "Oh, you're smart." And once again, I didn't think anything of it.
You can make a career out of it and get paid for it.
That's right.
So was there a moment or a project when you knew you weren't just designing for aesthetic appeal, but to tell a story?
Well, when we did my Birmingham home, which we did 7 years ago, yes, I think that was the first time it became a story unfolding. And I wasn't doing design at the time. So it was just, I had books and notebooks, clippings. I had so much like binders full of things that I wanted to put into this house. And it became a love story. That house has so much soul. I think I would really have a hard time getting rid of it, even though I'm always itching for another personal project. And then my first client that I had 2 years into my business, it was my first whole home client, I'll say. It had so much of a story to tell. It was just this romance with color and with prints and with happiness. And that home actually ended up a few months ago in Homes and Garden out of the UK. So, yes.
Well, you said your own home helped reignite your creative passion. What did that process teach you about your design instincts and your voice in the creative field?
Oh, it taught me to really dig and to never settle. My home will never be done, so it taught me patience.
A key item.
Yes. I'm still stewing over putting a canopy bed in our primary bedroom for the past 6 months. I've been like, there's 3 I really like, and I'm trying to decide what's the best decision. And I feel like it gave you a lot of discipline doing it for yourself too. So there was a lot to learn, a lot of mistakes. And it was probably better that I made those mistakes on me than someone else.
Right.
I think we all learn with skint knees.
Well, your work pushes past formulas and finds beauty in the in-between, you could say. What does that philosophy look like in practice? And how do you know when a space hits that perfect tension between unexpected and timeless?
Well, there's never one right answer or solution in design. Typically, it's not a math problem where you're going to get a perfect number. At least not for me. It's not like that. So it's very personal, and I'm someone who really is driven by feeling. And so I sort of have to feel my way through it. And sometimes it's 3 chairs could all be great, but which one feels the best? Which one am I going to be happiest with living with it, not just looking at it? And And I think there is that tension where everything can't be new. Also, everything, I do love vintage and old, but it can't be old. There's got to have a balance
Right.
in what we're making.
Well, you've cited fashion as a constant inspiration. What do you borrow from fashion, silhouettes, mood, materiality, and how do you translate that into interiors and spaces?
Well, as I said before, I love beauty and I love strangeness and things that spark intrigue. There are clothes that I want to turn into chairs, and there are fabrics and trims I want to turn into dresses. And shoes, the details and craftsmanship of a great shoe, I can liken to gorgeous architecture, the structure of them both. I also relate this feeling to great music. I've really been having a love affair with Krungman lately. And there are a few projects I'm currently working on where the vibe and the feeling of her music or their music is what I want to achieve in the room. I want it to feel like that could be playing throughout the space and you would be in this Zen moment.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the cinema aspect, all things James Bond or Wes Anderson. Mick Jagger's performance with Anita Pallenberg. I'm working on a house right now that's old from the 70s. And they've got this really nostalgic tile in there that looks like the tile in the bathroom scene of that movie. So it's going to be a work of art when it's done.
Fantastic. Well, you talk about design as a marriage between the runway and the reality. What are some of the ways you bring editorial drama into everyday spaces without losing comfort or livability?
The layers. It's always the layers and then the edit. And surprisingly, there are times I pull back. There are times I say, okay, we've hit that threshold. And there are times when it's never enough. But you just know as you're doing it and as you're feeling it, and you know what every client's comfort level is. Because some people don't want their house to feel like it's just full of stuff, or they don't want it to be like the four walls are closing in on them. So, comfort and drama can coexist, but it's communication with your client, knowing what their needs are and what their threshold is. And you really get to know each other through this process.
How do you work through challenges when it comes to spaces and incorporating various elements in spaces? Like you said, you don't want a client to feel too overdone or too much stuff in the room. So sometimes that can be challenging with a client because they want this, 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 and this. So how do you work through that?
Well, I mean, it's okay to say no. Sometimes, even though they want this, this, and this, it's just not going to work. And so maybe it's prioritizing. If you want this, this, and this, what's most important? And we'll make sure that happens. But to make the design as functional and as fluid as it should be, sometimes everything can't make it.
Well, you have an eye for the arresting and obscure, but your process is deeply collaborative. How do you balance your creative vision with a client's personality and lifestyle?
End of the day, I think their happiness, I know I've done my job right. And so I think that communication starts day one, knowing what they like, what they don't like, what they want. And then my stamp is on it. So I'm not going to let this get out of control and let it be, I think you have to design your contract where it doesn't get out of control. And I have this conversation, I was having it today with Ethan that works with me about some projects where, and I'm totally fine with clients going out and sourcing some of their own things, but there is a point where does it look like you designed it or like they brought, or does it become a hot mess? So I think you've got to have some reins and you've got to have some parameters, but also you've got to listen to them and you've got to be very receptive to what their needs are. Currently, I've got an artist I'm working with and a fashion stylist. And I do feel like a lot of creatives are flocking to me. And I know the artist keeps saying over and over again, I don't want to mess up your creative process because she being such a creative herself. So, I mean, most people that are going to hire me want that creativity. They want the weirdness. So they're going to give me a pretty good bit of freedom.
What inspires and motivates you?
Oh, well, fashion, travel, music, really interesting art, nature. I love a client of mine sent me some sconces the other day, and they were just kind of like weird torched roses in a way. But I also looked at them and said, wow, this is like one of those flowers. You don't know if it's a flower or a weed, but it's just so beautiful and so strange. So I think beauty can be found so many places.
Mm-hmm. What's one of the boldest choices you've made in a project, and how did it pay off?
Yeah, that's tough. I feel like almost all my choices are pretty bold. Bold for me would be the opposite. It would be like, we're going to paint the whole house white on the inside. But one thing I've done that was bold, that was sort of a way to cost save, was we bought some desks and a chest of drawers from Ikea. So it was very affordable. And we got wallpaper, and I had my wallpaper installer cover it with wallpaper. So it was this clever sort of chic trick, and it really brought a lot of pop to the room. But, and it was, you're not going to see another piece of furniture like it, but it was something we had to kind of put together. Then also, kitchens. So a lot of people buy a house, they might not want to redo the whole kitchen. It's just such a process. And if you want to go ahead and move in, forget about it. So I had one client, we painted the kitchen nutmeg. Another one, it was a very moody blue, and it was like a whole new kitchen. And so, paint can change your life if you let it.
Yeah. They provide the biggest impact with the least cost associated to it. Well, you've said you'll go to any and all lengths to execute your vision. What's the wildest or most memorable design moment that required that kind of commitment? Well, and how did the client deal with that?
I've gotten my hands dirty quite a few times. I think logistics is one example of this. I recently flew to Palm Beach, rented a minivan, filled it up with goodies for clients, one of which was this massive piece of art they were going to charge us a couple $1,000s to ship. And I was like, you know what? There's so much I can pick up down there. Let me just go bring it back. And so I did that. And it's about, let me do the math really quick, how far it is to get back from Palm Beach to Birmingham. But I think it's upwards of like 12 or 13 hours. So it was quite an adventure flying there, hauling all that back. But it was worth it to get some great things back to my clients. I have helped, and by help, I assisted unloading a really massive sofa. It was something bought through First Dibs, and it was like a third party delivery system. So it wasn't like a UPS or a Blue Truck. It was someone who rented a truck and would take your things. And the gentleman, it was just one man, and it was a huge sofa. So I had to get the other half of it as I was assisting the install. Thank goodness I wasn't wearing heels that day, and helped him load it into this space. So that's another example. I remember that first whole house I had. We had about a 7-week window to get new paint, new wallpaper in, which seemed like a lot of time, but the first couple weeks dragged, and there were still drapes from the previous owner on the wall, and I knew the painter had to get in. So I showed up with my ladder and my drill, and I started taking down hardware and had my kids with me, and I just let them kind of play as I was doing it. But it was kind of like one of those things, something has to be done. We have to start moving the ball. So I'm definitely willing to roll up my sleeves and
get in there. Yeah.
And get in there. Yes.
Well, your spaces are often soulful and layered, almost cinematic feel. How do you decide when enough is enough, or when a space just needs that one more extra piece or final touch?
Well, I think even maximalists have to edit, and it comes back to the comfort factor and the threshold of the client, and them not wanting to be taken over by stuff. And I'd say the word stuff we put in a room makes it very cozy, but the wrong stuff or too much stuff has the opposite effect. So editing is a huge part of that. Feeling your way through it, knowing what feels right, knowing is there too much wood? What's the warmth? How
Right.
is there too much white? Is it getting too plastic? We got to make it where it's a little bit of all of it and it's cohesive. Right. And it is like putting together a beautiful outfit and your accessories, and you just have to keep looking in the mirror, and then the right moment, okay, that's it. Mm-hmm. I took it to the right level. An install for me is not like in and out, a quick turnaround. I do think it's like we're going to edit and we're going to think about things. It's easy to pick the sofas, the chairs, the big items, but the ones that really make it special and bring it to life is what you keep working on. You keep tweaking and perfecting.
True. Those final touches, that little elements that are worked, threaded into the space and environment. Well, you've mentioned you mix the old with the new, clean and crusty as part of it. What are your favorite sources or rituals for finding those obscure, character-filled treasures?
Well, in Birmingham, we're actually quite lucky. We've got a lot of these little dives, I would call it, where you're like going through a dumpster, and you're going to walk out with like 10 great things.
Diving?
I'm dumpster diving. So we've got that, and then we've got the next level up. Some antique stores that there's some junk-teak, there's some real antique, but it's a blend. And then we have some high-end stores. So just at arm's length, I've got incredible options, which is so nice to be able to see it, touch it, feel it. Because I have ordered online and been a little bit misled at what I was getting. Mm-hmm. The picture and the reality didn't quite connect. Right. But that being said, I love Cherish. I love First Dibs. I'm on there constantly, probably once a day, probably more than I should be. But the deep dives and the ability just to save everything you like and archive it. And then when it's time to use that in a project, it's saved. Has it sold? Let's get it. So those are fantastic resources. And then Etsy. Etsy has become a big fan favorite of mine, especially because you can find really weird things there. And then also, eBay, been there forever, but Facebook Marketplace. I can't tell you how many interesting little gems, and people are just trying to give it away on there. It's like, if you'll come pick it up, you can have it. Wow.
Well, if you find a cream or white piano, let me know.
Ooh.
Have you ever been to, is it Round Top in Texas?
I have not been. It's on my list. I would go to Round Top over High Point, and not knocking High Point, but I feel like Round Top is such, once again, a treasure hunt, a dive. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I think it's going to be like more up my alley. And I feel like there's a lot of, this is a new release of a new company at High Point, and I'm going to get all of that in the mail anyway, or via email. Right. But I love going. Round Top would be maybe next year.
It's on my list. Yeah. Hey, we'll have to meet up.
Love to.
How do you define luxury today, and how has that definition evolved into your own work?
So for me, luxury equates to quality of life. So luxury is good bedding. If it's in your budget, a Leontine linen sateen quilt is about the most luxurious thing you can sleep with. It's to die for. Luxury is amazing shower heads that put out adequate pressure. Luxury is a really good bathtub where you can sit in there for hours in a bubble bath and read and decompress. Luxury is the ability to close off your bedroom curtains and no light comes in and you don't know what time of day it is. And I think these are all things we need to be able to incorporate in our design aesthetic and give to people, these moments, these bits. Luxury is being able to cook a nice meal and entertain with family or friends, and, giving them the kitchen or the dining space that allows them to do so.
Well, you live in that rare space where interiors and fashion collide. What's your own personal style like, and does it mirror your design work?
Yes, 1,000%. When you see me coming for better or for worse, what you see is what you get. I dress like I design. There's no fear factor. And I think that's true in my design. That's true in my, what I'm wearing. Unfortunately, today, I don't think I'm living up to that. I'm denim on denim. It's a white t-shirt day, vintage belt and gladiator boots. But tomorrow I'll pull out the big guns. It's summertime. My kids are out of school. I'm living in that in between.
Right.
I don't know if I'm coming or going, but nothing is off limits. And I love finding things and transforming them into something else, which also happens when I decorate. I love collecting jewelry, old accessories from travel and working them in. I'm obsessed with hats. I love a hat. I'm a bit of a chameleon with them. I also cut my hair a lot. And I get restless. The next thing you know, I've got bangs. And I'm calling my hairdresser and telling her we need to fit them into the face. When my husband and I first started dating, I think it might have scared him a little bit. But now he's grown to love it and find it's part of my charm. And my children, they're sometimes embarrassed by the turbans and the capes and the outrageous get-ups. But I think it builds character.
Yeah,
on a side note, my son, I brought him Chick-fil-A a couple weeks ago before school got out, and he gave me very specific instructions. He said, "No, Mom, dress normal. I want you to wear workout clothes to school." But life is too short, and I never want to be boring. So,
right. Hey, you got to be who you got to be. You know?
Yeah.
Is there a Danielle Balanis stamp on your projects? Is there something that you try to incorporate that has your signature into those projects?
Finding something kind of quirky is definitely, it could be taxidermy. I've got a lot of projects that have some level of taxidermy, like Krill and Gow in New York. I don't know if you're familiar, but they've got taxidermy, but it comes from this farm when animals naturally die. So it's not, something that's controversial. It's very natural. And so I found a few pieces there for clients. I love hands, like a hand sconce, a hand candle holder, a foot. There's a statue, something like a body part is cool to put in a house. And I love eyes. There's this really cool eye. It could be a hologram or a sketch or a painting, but I think eyes are fun. And then I love bust statues, mixing them together, collecting them. Any kind of collection is fun in a home, because when you have numerous anything, it becomes very powerful.
True. Very true.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite fashion moment or designer that still inspires your interiors today?
I have a lot. I'll start with Chanel, because that's probably where I have the most to say. But Chanel is currency. Chanel is like buying a fine antique, and it's only going to increase in value. And it will ground a room for a lifetime. So I'm really into collecting vintage Chanel jewelry, clothes, bags, really anything I can find. The first time I ever went to Paris, I found this really amazing secondhand store, and it had this white Chanel dress. It was my size, and it was the first piece I ever bought, and it's still in my closet. I'll never get rid of it. It was just such a can't believe this is happening moment. It was very affordable. It wasn't a Chanel price. So, right. That's pretty amazing. I love Dries. Really, that was a big inspiration in my house. I love Valentino, especially with Alessandro Michele at the helm. I loved when he was at Gucci. He's just, his essence, his spirit. He's just he would be someone I would love to know in their personal life. I love the surrealism of Schiaparelli. I love every moment that the Olsens give us. I think their style is just unparalleled. Kate Moss. She's almost a verb.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Diana Vreeland. Her Garden from Hell Park Avenue apartment is and always will be one of my favorite moments. And it was done on, I've read recently, quite a budget. She told Billy Baldwin, her decorator, that, I work for a magazine, even though I have all these great things, they don't pay you insanely well. So it was a very budgeted renovation or decoration, and it's been published to death. Just shows you what good design can really do. I love Lulu De Felice. I love Bianca Jagger. Marianne Faithfull and Anita Pallenberg in the 60s when they were dating Mick and Keith. That's just the ultimate power couples. Bridget Bardot and Lauren Hutton, anyone that can pull off a power suit. I'm obsessed with power suits. And Yves Saint Laurent in Morocco. I think that's a pretty powerful.
Defining, yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. And then in terms of like decades or time periods, anything from the 60s and beyond, I love. I mean, there's even something to be said about the 80s and Dynasty and, all that grandeur and glamour. Yes. So, I love a shoulder pad. I've got I'm petite, so I feel like it gives me some presence when I have them on. So yes, I think there's fashion. Like I said, I could go on for days. I love it.
Lots out there, that's for sure. Tell us a little bit about some of your current projects you're working on.
Okay. Well, I do have a fashion stylist that's based here in Birmingham, but she has clients all over the country. And she just bought a new house. And we're starting some electrical tomorrow, but it's going to be pretty fantastic. She has a strong French aesthetic, and this is a Tudor, and it's probably over 100 years old. And so it's going to be really spectacular. I'm working with an artist, and they have a farmhouse. Really, they have a massive farm, and it's part of their property out there. Then I am working with a longtime client. This is our third project together, and she just bought another new house. And this I would compare to Dawn Ridge, Tony Duquette's property. It's going to be really, really radical. It's the house with the tile that I said was reminiscent of the movie Performance. I've got another client buying a house on the coast. They think they close next week. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that. And then there's just all these other, jobs we've had for a long time that we're kind of adding layers to, adding details to. I've got a client that has an amazing condo downtown, and he's an actor, so he's always out of town. And I don't think we'll ever be finished. We're re-wallpapering his powder bath next week. He's always coming up with some crazy scheme. I think I've met my match with him, because we're always, we found a new bird cage. Where can we hang it? It'll never end until the house eats them up, maybe. But it's fun. It is so much fun.
Right.
We were able to do a home-worthy video of it. And yes.
Cool. What's your current color obsession?
It's red. I have always really dug red, but I'm really having a love affair right now in all forms, like an orange red, a red, a magenta red. My nails are red. Mm-hmm. It's really becoming like a color that I need to mix into every scheme. Even if it's a Bordeaux red, you can just find a way to blend it in. For the longest time, and I still, my essence color is yellow, but I feel like red is what I'm coming on the scene with right now.
Okay. A piece of decor or furniture you'll never get tired of?
My grandmother's bergère chair that I've recovered in a Schumacher fabric. It sits in my study by the fireplace. And in the winter, when we have fires going, I'll sit there and read design books, go figure, and sip wine. But it's really special because it was in her house forever, as long as I was alive. And so I love having a piece of her in my home. I've got some taxidermy peacocks. One's albino and one's full colored, that came from Krill and Gal.
Oh, wow.
I love those. They're so
Statement
amazing.
Pieces.
Yes. Yeah. Conversation pieces.
Yeah.
And then I've got a tete-a-tete that Grant Trick made for my living room. And it's out of a Robert Keim fabric, which I love Robert Keim's everything. And remarkably, talking about comfortable living, I let my kids sit on it, just not eat on it. So they are allowed to touch.
Yeah. What's a dream client or design fantasy, past, present, or future? I probably could answer this for you, but I'm.
Well,
go ahead.
Actually, this is someone I didn't mention that I probably should have on the style, but Chloe Savini. I am such a fan. I think she's such a little rebel, and I think she would be so fun to work with. It would be pretty incredible. Mick Jagger. I would love just, the White Lotus recently happened, and I've always been a big fan of indie girl Parker Posey. I think she'd be fun to work with, and she's a fellow Southerner.
Right.
And I think it'd be kind of pretty radical to do a meditation room for the Grateful Dead or for a musician, some kind of meditation room that's a writing space. I don't know, somewhere where you just get in your element. And I think really wild. It'd be fun to design a small boutique hotel, be it Portugal, the countryside of France, maybe working on a high-end Parisian boutique, but things like that could be pretty dreamy.
I think I had some of those answers for you.
Did you?
Mick Jagger, definitely. I knew you were going to say Mick Jagger. I agree with Chloe, though. She is a rebel.
Yeah.
And Parker Posey, she's one of my all-time favorites. So
yes, wouldn't she be so fun to know in personal life?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Her persona has not changed. It's been so real and part of who she is. But
one of my favorite movies she did in the 80s, where she was the librarian, Party Girl.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yes. And her, she has the most, incredible red tights. And she gets the falafel and sparkling water every day. And it's just so... In another life, I want to be her. I want to be that.
Yeah, I think that's probably her personality in real life.
Yeah.
I would assume. I don't know.
Yes.
If you had to design a room based on a single fashion icon, who would it be and what would it look like?
So I think based on a single icon, it would probably be Lulu. She was a muse to Saint Laurent. She was so many things, but she's so colorful and joyful, and she just exudes happiness, and she's so vibrant. I feel like that's so much of what I'm trying to push out there. And I think it would be also so layered. I could see a Moroccan chandelier. I could see these really billowy drapes with a cornice, several chairs and maybe chaise lounges and a recamier, but just totally this lounge fest. And it would be an ultimate layered, just den of, I don't know, amazingness.
So being a creative, how's your own environment? Do you constantly change it or experiment and kind of shake it a little bit? And what does your family think about that? Do they walk into space what does she do now?
Yes, I do. I'll move things around. It's kind of gotten to where things are in a pretty particular place in my home. But I mean, my bedroom, I'm ready to kind of shake that up a little bit. There are books that are always traveling around my house. So you might have a stack of books go beside a chair, and it's the books I'm reading, but it also serves as a drink table. So there's definitely a train of books being moved around the house and being reallocated. And so for sure that. But yeah, I mean, I'll bring something new in, and I wonder how long it's going to take for them to notice,
Well, you've built a brand rooted in originality, emotion, and beauty with soul. What do you hope people feel when they walk into a Danielle Balanis space?
Well, I hope they feel happy. I hope they're intrigued. I hope they want to look in the corners. They want to see what's on the bookshelves. They want to embrace every layer. I hope they want to stay and sit down and kick off their shoes. I hope they want to really get comfortable and feel like they can be themselves in that moment, in that space.
So what's next for your creativity? Any new directions, dreams, or risk you're excited to chase?
Well, I'm always dreaming. That's for sure. So I don't know. The sky's the limit.
Right.
But I think if you can dream it, you can make it. You can find a way to create it and manifest it into life.
Yep. From what they say, from the mouth to God's ears, you've said
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
it will be. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience or tell us today, Danielle?
Well, I'm so thankful and grateful I was able to spend some time and talk with you.
Absolutely.
I think it's just all about being your most authentic self and loving where you live and not being afraid to be different and to push boundaries. And, don't try to like ball yourself up and do what the neighbors are doing. Go with what makes you happy.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you or hire you for your services and creativity, how would they get in contact?
Well, I think email is always a great way. But if you go to our website, there is a contact us page and it has my cell phone, my email. It's got a plethora of ways to reach me. My Instagram's on there, so you can even DM me. But yes, I feel like we're in such a society where it's so easy to get in touch.
Right.
And even on the website, now that we're saying this, something I've started plugging in, Ethan that works with me, we did some photography to kind of up things on the website. And then I just had this idea, what she said, what's next? I said, Ethan, why don't we like every season, because he's extremely stylish himself. I said, let's do a style page and let's mix it with things that like we think are really great looking, like that you would wear or buy off the rack, and then mix it with some like home pieces, like maybe there's some great lighting or a great coffee table book coming out. And let's just have these like PDFs we put on the website and it links out and people can like actually shop it. And I mean, we have no connection to anywhere where you shop it, but I was like, it kind of is this page that allows you to see our personality in terms of fashion meeting interiors. So I don't know, maybe ideas like that will keep brewing and we'll find a way to keep making it a hybrid, because I feel like that's one thing is I always carve, my own path. I'm not really following a rigid example. I'm just every day is a new day. So maybe we'll find a way to continue to marry the two, the fashion and the interiors.
Let me ask you this, because sometimes, design has various parameters or rules, you're supposed to set by. Are there any particular rules that you like to break?
All of them.
Good answer.
Yeah. No, well, now, and there are some rules I like. I think there's something about scale. There's something about lighting. And so there are some rules that in the back of my head I keep. Now, like I don't write them down. I probably don't even know what they are, but I know that I'm trying to like not break those. But otherwise, I think everything's like game on. I think if we all colored in the lines,
it'd be boring.
It'd be boring. Yeah, we're trying to make art here.
Exactly.
Yes,
art's not in the lines.
That's right.
Well, Danielle, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show, and thank you so much for taking the time. Much continued success to you, and
thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Same. I'm delighted to have been here and met you, and I'll see you at Round Top, I think.
Absolutely. We'll plan on it.
Okay.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, and bye.
That was Danielle Balanis, a fearless creative, a storyteller through space, and a designer who proves that when you blur the lines between fashion, interiors, and soul, something magical happens. If you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Design, follow us on Instagram and YouTube for a look behind the scenes and more bold conversations with the industry's most visionary minds. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep designing with intention and don't be afraid to color outside the lines.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.